and welcome to the Great American Witch Blood Moon Rising, episode 7 of our 10-episode run. We are getting towards the more serious finale of this show after a lot of horny at the beginning, after a lot of wolves being ridden. That happened. And yeah, piggyback right, I think.
Yes.
We are now approaching a more
platonic.
serious... Yeah, platonic so far. We'll work on that. We are now approaching a more serious tone of the whole game, which, honestly, with these players being able to hop between silly and serious so very expertly is an absolute delight to witness. I'm Lydia, I'm Half-Housed Hermit, I'm your guide today. And who are the two of you down there who are steadfast, holding strong? Dee, let's start with you. Who are you playing today?
Hi, I'm Dee, and I will be playing Anati Rossford, who's not on the edge of a breakdown whatsoever.
See? Serious. And Sylvie. Val, what about you?
Hey y'all, I'm Val. Today I bring to you Sylvie Dakota. She is also not about to have a breakdown at all. What's her grandmother just died, and upon her death, like, you know, this contract to protect her town from the Illuminati apparently also went, and like she learned that like hours before, like legitimate hours before this death. So she's just like, cool, I got some business to take care of on top of dealing with an actual death, like just no time. But she's a fairly stubborn woman. She tends to already be pretty disassociative, so I'm counting on her to continue to be that today.
I'm sure we will not try at all to make Sylvie break down. Right, Dee? Not at all. Not at all.
I'll leave. I'll just straight out. like nobody, no one is keeping me.
That is true, and also, while we're joking about it, of course, try not to inflict too much emotional harm on your players, and if you do, give them lines and veils and safety cards to use freely, which we do behind the scenes, of course. You'll also notice we have two players missing right now. That's our dear Alessa Vamp, who's playing Yaneshka, and of course, Party Wipe Games, Rindis, who's playing Marcus. Alessa had some private demons coming up that need exercising, and Rindis is, I think, right now still stuck on a dentist chair, which we do not envy him for, so we wish them all the best. But given that we've had some themes centered around Aoife, the witch that died last session, at the end of last session, which was Anati's mentor and Sylvie's grandmother, I figured it would actually be quite nice to have a focused chapter on these two characters. If we do run into scenes that require the whole coven, we'll just make this episode a teensy bit shorter, but it should still give us a good amount of scenes to work through. If you want to help our witches work through some stuff, then you can do so, of course, by cheering them on in chat. You can also help them quite literally, mechanically, by retweeting our live tweet. Once we hit 20, we give them a nice little boon. Never mind the fact that once we hit 30, I get a bane, but, you know. We also have donation options if you wanted to show some generosity, not just towards the witches, towards the cast actually, because 50% of all donations do get divvied up among the cast. Feel free to do so. The links are in chat. You can give them advantages and disadvantages for $5. You can give your own boons, and banes are, of course, a big pet pal donation for $40. Literally that. Someone gets a pet. And we have the Golden Gods, which you could use to literally undo death or create a whole new scenario, which will come into effect next time. The game we're playing is The Great American Witch by Chris Gray, and it is based on Powered by the Apocalypse games, PBTA games. So we have our 2d6 system, 3 stats, which are, in our case, Severity for the Crone, Wisdom for the Mother, and Mercy for the Maiden. Everything's witch themed here. And if you want to check that out, the link is in chat as well. But we also have more sponsors this season. All our games are sponsored And that, of course, is money we need to keep this channel going and keep the behind the scenes going, as well as pay our techs a fair wage. If you want to check out our sponsors, the link is in chat as well. If we can type, can I type? Is Moldark down? Because that would be fun. This is the 4th attempt now.
4th time's a charm. I believe in you.
There we go.
Yay,
I did it right.
it.
The funny thing is, I typed it right the first time around, but it just wouldn't react to it. So I had to do it wrong.
It's probably
3 more
the
times.
cooldown from the previous.
I know. It's still hilarious.
Yeah.
So on Monday, of course, it's Great American Witch by Chris Gray. On Tuesdays, Broken Dice is giving us the Nuaran Chronicles. Black Void Games on Wednesday with Black Void. Mighty Narwhal doing Mora, another Witch Coven on Thursday, followed by Smunchy Games' Parslings. We also have Evil Hat Productions, which just had the big finale on Saturday with Trooper GMing a 5-hour finale because, you know, might as well go big or go home. And while that finale is done and Fate of Cthulhu is done, we are going to keep Trooper around because why wouldn't you? Look at the man, he's adorable and knowledgeable. So he's going to GM Tachyon Squadron for us, also by Evil Hat Productions, which we're just finalizing the casting off. But do check that out. And if that's a whole lot of TTRPG and you need to stay awake throughout all of them, check out our affiliates with Grinding Coffee and, of course, Dice Dungeons for all your dice paraphernalia. That being said, let's start with a Great American Witch, Blood Moon Rising. Now, our coven has had a difficult time, personally and on a slightly more global scale. After a meeting with an Illuminati member that Sylvie knows quite well, given that they're cousins, well, it's come to light that there is a truce, a wobbly truce, between the Illuminati and the Coven of Seer's Rest, situated in New Mexico in the 1970s. That truce is based on an incident that happened many years ago, an incident that was resolved with an agreement to not step foot into each other's territory as long as this coven lives. Well, this coven, that's a little bit of a tricky situation, as we'll find out today, because apparently, Illuminati being good with fine print, it was all connected to one person, Aoife, Sylvie's grandmother, and with her death, that truce no longer stands. So what will happen now? We'll find out. Aoife is gone. Both of you feel it. Even before that phone call, that was the nursing home telling you that she's passed, you felt that sudden emptiness in your stomach. Your mentor, Anati, no longer with us. Your grandmother, Sylvie, no longer with you. How are you dealing with those days leading up to the funeral? How are you dealing as a person, as a witch, as a coven?
I think that Anati has been spending most of her time checking on people who knew Aoife, just trying to keep everyone together, see if anyone has anything that they'd like to say, just checking on everyone. I don't think she's done magic since they've gotten the news.
There is a lot to do, of course. Aoife has always been a very outgoing person, everyone's mum, basically. She's known a lot of people. And in fact, Naneshka and Marcus are taking on the task of notifying those that are not part of Seer's Rest anymore, given that you do have a very vast network throughout the states of people that were once taken in by the Coven, that were nurtured, that were helped, that were redeemed in many ways, and then set out back into the world. There are a lot of sister covens that, of course, want to be notified. And there are a lot of individual people that Aoife's life touched that need to be notified as well. The atmosphere in Seer's Rest is dense with melancholy, because everyone knew it was coming. She was old. She led a full and active life. She wasn't always super kind to herself and her body. There were several drinking contests that Aoife definitely in more youthful days left as the winner, until Marcus moved in anyway. She was
like a proud Irish woman.
Uh-huh. She was aware herself that her time would come soon, but it still hits people. Obviously it does. Anati, they take your help gladly. And you hear so many stories, many of which you knew, and many of which you hear twice, you hear 3 times. What's it like hearing those stories again and again and again?
I think Anati listens to the story all the way through, and every time someone tells it, and she just notices the different things that they focus on and the things that stay the same. And she struggles with it. She would probably also ask, I guess, Cassius, or the next time that they get in contact, maybe the two that left off to notify people, but she wants to make sure that someone lets Atsa know that
probably the best
passed.
contact you have there are Kai at Milleray. Given that Atsa has returned to his own tribe to be a little bit more in touch with them, and the respectful thing you think to do would be to have one of his own deliver the news.
Yeah, for sure.
You would receive a note through Kay, through Milleray, that he thanks you for letting him know, and he will come to the funeral. He will pay his respects.
Okay, good. I'll just.
You
I also
notice-
want to. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, you go.
I also want to make sure that Marge is okay. Since, yeah.
Marge is quite alright, actually. Every now and then you hear, not the jukebox in the Bad Moon Rising bar, you hear whistling and humming. Old songs that you remember Aoife whistling and humming to you every now and then while you were doing gardening work, while you were out there. She remembers her well. And when you ask her, she says, well, such is the way of all things. If I were the one to move on fully, I'd want to be remembered with a smile. But I still have a job to do.
And you mind sharing what exactly that is?
Now, taking care of you lot, of course. Aoife took care of all of you throughout her life. I could have done a better job. It is my penance, in death, to watch over this coven, over this bar. At least that's what I will tell you. Maybe I just like the smell. Maybe I just don't want to move on just yet.
Thank you, March.
You notice that while you have this conversation with her in the Batman Rising, having your lunch, as you often do, you notice that Leia is at the bar, her eyes deep red, and she's jumpy. Much jumpier than usual. She's always been a little bit of a doe. She's always been a very sweet, slightly timid character. But something's off. Maybe it's just that, but something's off.
You alright back there, love?
Oh! And she drops a fork that she was just drying off. I'm okay. Just taking care of the bar while Nan's out.
Do you need any help?
Actually, if you could, if you could get some of the IPAs refilled.
And Anati will very quickly rush to assist, glad to have something to do.
Every now and then, while you're working together, she will bump into you. She will find excuses to brush up against you, to reach for the same thing so that your hands touch. And every time she does, she giggles a little bit and apologizes profusely, of course. Sorry, you take the towel. You take the towel. I'll get a new one.
And Anati will periodically, attempt to flirt, but it's not there. It will be very minute and sort of off her personal rhythm in her replies.
I'm trying to help Sylvie and Nan, but I didn't know her that well. Aoife, I'm never sure what to say. You always know what to say.
Well, in this case, I would say Sylvia will probably appreciate her space and anywhere you, so you don't gotta worry too much about her. And Nan, just listen to her stories. She'll have stories about Aoife that might take a little to get her to tell them, but when she starts, she'll get into the groove of it. And you know, it's no big deal. You didn't, like you said, you didn't know her as well. Just as long as you're doing the best you can, then it's nothing more we can ask from you.
Thanks.
Of course.
You knew her better than many.
Yeah, she was a sour old thing. It's kind of where Sylvie gets it from, but Aoife was, Sylvie's like this cold kind of calculating figure, and Aoife was, she was a firecracker. She would ring your ears if you did something that you should know better than.
I saw her maybe twice, 3 times before she left the town.
Oh, trust me, you saw her, but you didn't see her. When she was first my mentor, she was this badass woman. She came out. She looked like she was almost like dressed for like a almost like an archaeological thing. Sylvie dresses just like her, um, but tans and greens. And she was great.
Does it hurt to talk about her? We don't have to. We can.
No, I just remembered I gotta get ready for the show. I'll talk to you soon. Okay?
Oh, okay. And she...
Let me not.
You don't see it as you leave, but she looks after you for a long time with a frown on her forehead that is both sad and full of regret. Sylvie, how has Sylvie been dealing with everything?
There is... If you thought Sylvie was buried in work before, she has really sort of amped up her game, and not just her typical work where she is working with paleontologists and archaeologists and things like that, but the sort of work that she puts on the back burner a lot that she tends to do in her time off, which is the management of the town. Because on top of trying to figure out her grandmother's funeral arrangements, as she is the next of kin, there is also just this weight on her shoulders about what to do next in terms of the contract. There's a sense of anxiety that she has to work through, and if she to the point where like she's kind of shifted off some of her funeral arrangement responsibilities off to Kai. And we haven't seen Kai a lot here in the show, but Kai is her childhood best friend. He's a native man. He and his sister Milleray run a gift shop here, and their dads were in the Marines together for World War II. And that's how they know each other. So like their dads were best friends, so they were essentially raised with each other. And she might even be seen like going back and forth to the gift shop. Like there's like a constant, like she's probably lost like in the past couple of days, like lost weight from like the amount of walking and pacing that she has done. Like she has not stopped.
Would Anati know that? Would Anati pay attention to that? And if so, would she do anything about it?
I think she notices, but is just gonna let Sylvie process, I think.
Yeah.
So Sylvie, you hear, or you are aware of the fact that the Seven, the heads of the Order of Witchcraft in the States, based in New Orleans, they will visit, they will send representatives not all of the 7, of course, will come, but they will send someone to attend the funeral. You receive a letter. It's fairly official sounding. It's almost a little bit too impersonal, even for your efficiency levels. Someone who can respect someone getting things done. There is condolences, there is deepest regrets, there are all the buzzwords that you need to send, but you cannot help but feel that it's too formal.
Mm-hmm.
You're informed that Isabelle Mckenzie and Pablo Martinez are to attend the funeral. You would know the 7 by name, all of you do.
Mm-hmm.
You would know who represents whom, and you would have heard things of all of them. Isabelle Mckenzie represents the Hag, and Pablo Martinez represents Hecate. They're both older. They're both well respected. You know that, in particular, Isabel's not always seen eye to eye with Aoife. They respected each other. There was no official conflict between them, but they had different approaches to things.
Right. Interesting. Do I know of any... So the 7 did have our back with this contract, right? Was that be something
How do you
I
mean?
would know? Like, we weren't like acting against the 7 by essentially having this truce.
No. The 7 cautioned you, given that they know the Illuminati.
Right.
And let's see, is this a role, or am I just telling you? I'm telling you, you might want to talk to Isabelle directly about this. You have heard that
sure.
this was one of the sources of conflicts between her and Aoife. Isabelle more cautious, Sylvie, not Sylvie, Aoife a little bit more, let's just do this and see what happens. The progressiveness of this truce, even though truces between covens and Illuminati are not completely unheard of, but the amount of how people worked with each other, how there would be Illuminati envoys within Seer's Rest and vice versa, that was slightly frowned upon by the 7.
Okay.
It's a whole, what the truce ended up being after the incident, after the conflict. You don't mess with us, we don't mess with you. That's the sort of truce that covens and Illuminati usually have. The actual working together part and being interconnected, that was a little bit more than most witches would agree with.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, yeah, definitely would want to talk to Isabella about that in one of Sylvie's major concerns. And she might even voice this to Kai at some point, is where to move forward. Like, obviously for Sylvie, going forward thinking as if the truce was still up is a bad idea, but provoking would even be worse. And so
how do you want to
she is at a
provoke
loss
them?
of what to do.
Kai asks.
Yeah.
How would you even provoke them? We didn't do anything to them, did we? Did you?
I've not done anything personally. Of course, there is the incident with faking werewolf bones, of course. But the skeleton is hopefully taken care of at this point. I think Hino took care
I
of
haven't
that.
seen him around in in a couple of days. What's his deal?
I don't know what his deal is. He was fine. And then Madeline said something about regarding his past, and he was listening in as backup, and left with a sense of shame. But that is on him, and I'm not a fan of cowardice, so until he mans up, so to speak, and speaks to me, I am not going to concern myself with it. After all, I have the protection of an entire town to instead worry about.
I mean, it doesn't just have to be you, right? I know she was your grandmother, but her deeds are not your responsibility.
It's partially my responsibility to an extent. I, of course, am going to rely on you and the rest of the coven. I am confident in our abilities and whatever we decide to do. I just do not know what I am supposed to do.
Doesn't mean they're gonna move in, right? Doesn't mean that they're just waiting to pounce. Maybe they quite like the truth the way it was as well. Maybe it's just, maybe it'll be okay.
It's not going to be okay because they're after both Anati and Nashka.
What the fuck did they do?
Definitely Anati. So there's that.
Damn, I had no idea. I mean, lips are sealed,
I just found out recently myself, so. And out of character, I don't know if actually Sylvie did find that out, but I guess she did now. I'm mixing up storylines, and I'm not sure who told who what. I'm just assuming.
Because this coven has communication issues, in case you couldn't tell, by nobody talking to each other.
If anything, Reeves might have said something.
That kind of makes sense. Reeves likes dropping hints just to worry you every now and then when he's in an evil mood. Yeah. Well, you gotta sort that out with each other, I guess. You have your coven spells, you have your magic, you can do some...
We are definitely stronger together than we are apart, and I believe that Madeline was trying to unconvince me of that during our encounter, and did not let her know that I was worried, and I would prefer to keep it that way.
Well, I'm not gonna tell her. She was always a hateful kid.
You better not, and I'm gonna punch him in the shoulder.
And he winces and punches you back. And he's grown a lot stronger with the punching than you remember. It's been a while since you've had your games like that, but you had easily the upper hand on him when you were kids.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's grown up as well. Ow, it stings a little.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, farm work, carrying all the boxes.
Which, I guess if I am revealing secrets now, you're part of this town too, you deserve to know a few. I might have dropped the ball on letting everyone else know what we saw at the Shiprock.
The what?
The Phoenix.
Oh!
It's the coven.
Aye.
We were revealing secrets, and the problem was that I actually do not have any deep, dark, emotional scars like the rest of my coven does. So that was the only thing I could think of.
Kay's eyebrows both raise. In that, don't you now, bitch, way that friends would, look at you when it comes to this situation, because they always know your psyche and your mental health better than you do, and they're like, am I gonna start this discussion now or not? But he doesn't
I'm gonna
actually
lift my brows back at him, and I'm gonna be like, wait a second. And I'm gonna lean in, like, super close to him, like, just nose to nose. Do I have deep emotional scars? Squints.
Your dad died when you were 10.
Yes.
Your mom died when you were 2.
Yes.
That's usually enough already. Clearly it isn't in your case, but...
Oh, shit. I'm an orphan.
No? Yeah! And he beams for a second and then remembers what he's doing and is like, oh fuck.
I'm like a for real orphan right now. Like, I'm a grown-up orphan, but I am an orphan.
You had to take a lot of responsibility from an early age, Sylvie. Well, you didn't have to, you just did.
Didn't mind.
You were always the leader of the gang. You were always the one telling us what to poke. Usually corpses, so you could get to the bones and look at them and dissect them, which was kind of fucked up in its own right, if you ask me.
Most
but you
people
always
would find that disgusting.
Might see the connection there? See the connection?
Mm.
But I'm not saying you're fucked up, but I'm saying you dealt with some bullshit in your own way, made you. And you're great.
Thank you.
But it doesn't mean you're not a little bit scarred.
Scars are just healed wounds.
Yeah, but they're still not the same. They're healed, but
doesn't have to
something's
be.
there.
It's a little bumpy, but most of the time are still very smooth.
Who are you? I mean, other than me, but who are you gonna cry to? Who are you gonna turn to? When you can't just poke dead things to make your worries go away. That's a bad metaphor. I'm sorry, I'm not good at this.
Sorry,
this is why we need
Anati.
Anati. This is
just like Batman. Yes. As far as that goes, well, I'm not sure yet. I'm not used to crying around people in such a vulnerable manner. I mean, I don't even allow myself to cry when I scrape my knees.
Yeah, that's
Chop
fucked
off
up.
the tip of finger, and I like point like my fingertip, and there's like a scar.
Ew, stop showing me that.
Definitely...
Why do you keep doing that? Stop showing me that. I hate it.
I'm not sure. I'm still young. I am only 28. There's plenty of people to find that I could trust with that other than you. I find that Anati is quite willing to listen. I find that Nashka is I don't want to burden her with things. They seem to have a lot going on, and I suppose that is my point. Is that everyone else around me? I have one friend that has lost their memory, one that just exorcised a demon, and one that can see everyone dying around them. Literally, just the clock. What?
What?
Yes.
Exercise
what I'm
the
saying
demon?
is that
Who?
yeah, there was something in it's fine. It was taken care of. like
Man, I'm out of
uh,
the loop.
uh you should come by the bar more often, and then you would not be in the loop. What have you been doing with your time?
Well, traveling back and forth between the tribe and here, and I don't drink, so.
True. We can always make you coffee. You didn't convert to Mormonism, did you?
Did he? I mean, this is
No.
the NPC you might
No,
have, so
no,
you
no,
tell
no,
me.
no.
Like,
No.
wait, what? Is
No,
this a curveball I should be
definitely
aware of?
wouldn't have. But no, definitely not. Just the
I-
not alcohol, and that's just like where, because they're so close to Utah. Like that's just where Sylvie's like mind brain goes. Like,
Yeah, no,
why
okay,
would someone
goes,
not
nah.
drink? And if they didn't want coffee, why would someone not drink coffee? Oh, it has to be for these reasons. Yeah, it's just the association that she made.
Yeah, nah, fuck, my sister would kill me.
She would. It's a good thing we know of Phoenix, so that we could bring you back.
Man, I'm
Oh,
still not sure
shit.
what we saw out there. Every now and then I see it again in dreams. But did it speak to you?
And like, whatever Kai is saying, like, he probably notices like that instant that Sylvie like pops out and it's just in her own head when she has an idea of something, and it's just like the gears start to turn and they start to turn and they start to turn, and she's gonna be like, they just said that she had to be alive, didn't say in what capacity.
What?
Reincarnation.
Oh, you're fucking around with big stuff here.
Yeah. But it could work.
It could. Or she could come back as a zombie and eat your brain. And then eat all of our brains. And then the whole world
Zombie
goes
only
under
is
because of...
they're only in Haiti. Okay? Like there is a very specific branch of witchcraft that makes zombies, and it's not here.
He looks at you like Kay sometimes does when you've just said a stupid thing, which is so unusual for you. But he's
Yeah.
like, now you gotta know how that just sounded. Did you just listen to yourself? Like I don't need to say anything here because your brain will catch up with your brain and then realize what you just
yeah.
said.
Yeah, I did. Brother Hack, forgive me. I am
I'm
gonna look into this. It could work.
No, from everything you told me, you can always ask the big seven.
Yeah, I could.
I'm sure they'll be
if they have
super
a
happy about necromancy.
more efficient and less big of an idea that also works, I am willing to go with that. But until then, I could check with the giant firebird that rises from the ashes. The Hecate Witch would know more about that. Phoenixes are Greek, after all.
Yeah,
Like
sure.
she's
When
just
they're
like
done
spouting off
exercising
like
stuff
random
and-
facts about lore that
Yeah.
she just knows that she always does, which is just what she has been doing this whole time. Thank you, Kai. And she will like hug him, and like pat his shoulders. They're probably about the same height at this point in their lives, like as you know, adults. But she'll like pat him, his shoulders, and be like, "Don't forget to turn on the radio. Anati will be on soon," and she will leave.
Which is a wonderful transition. Thanks for that. To Anati's show.
Anati doesn't do her show. Anati returns to the water tower and closes the door and just throws a couple of pillows on the floor, mostly covering the door, and she will lay on top of them and voicelessly sob and just cry, like, you know, those like really heavy cries where no sound comes out. She'll just do that for like an hour, and then she'll eventually pry herself up and sit and stare at the wall and disassociate for like 30 minutes.
You are waiting for Anati's show to come on at the usual time, Sylvie. Nothing.
And around that time, like Sylvie went to her bar office specifically because that's also kind of where she does a lot of town office work. So she has like her radio on, like she would normally have in the office, realizing that it's not coming on, and she will call. What was the changeling's name again?
Leia.
She's gonna call Leia over. Leia, did you talk to T today?
Yeah, she was here earlier. Are you okay?
Has she gone? Yes, I am fine. Did she go somewhere? Normally her show would be on.
She said she was gonna prepare for her show. She was here having a chat with Marge and helped me a bit around the bar, but... You know, she's been running around the whole town for days. Like, talking to everyone.
Yes. So I have as well.
Yeah,
There's
I know,
a lot to do around here right now. I am concerned. I will be back. And I'm gonna like close the door and go to the water tower.
Leia was about
just, like, cutting her off.
Yeah. And then just doesn't that she's entirely too timid to stand her ground on this conversation topic, and is quite glad that
I stopped talking to her. I love it. Yeah, it just goes up, climbs that ladder, and gives a big knock on the tin of the water tower.
Anati will just pull the pillows off of the hatch and just open it. Then
Are you unwell?
Sitting. I'm fine. How are you?
In need of a vacation.
If I have any more time to myself, I will lose what is left of my mind.
Then I suppose you would want me to sit here with you so that you are not having time to yourself. I have time to spare.
Hey, Sylvie, if you have, if you're busy and have things, you don't have to. Set up your
Normally, I would spend this time sitting and listening to your show. I don't do anything else while I listen to it.
I didn't know that.
I tend to just listen. At most, I might paint, but I am not in the mood for painting.
I'm I'm sorry. I don't think I've said that yet.
I have issues with being vulnerable in front of people, especially in mourning. However, as cold as it might sound, I said goodbye to my grandmother long before she died. It is an emotional preparation I took when I saw that her mind was leaving her. You have to. And so, despite how sad it is for me, the part of me that was upset has a part of me that felt the trauma. I have already been there. I have already experienced it. So if I seem strange and upbeat or disassociative, it is only because now I am more concerned with making sure that her legacy is protected. You are a part of her legacy, so I am concerned for you and your safety, and I am here to protect you.
Anati will flop back onto the pillows and just go.
Just pats you. Like, pat, pat.
I don't deserve to feel like this. I was just her student, and I've been unprepared for this for years, and she was your grandmother, and you're already past it. And I feel like somebody's punched a hole in my chest, and
I know.
I miss her so much, Sylvie.
I know. It is okay to miss her. And you deserve to feel like you feel. Don't ever let anyone tell you to process your emotions other than the way that your body tells you to process them. It's the correct way to do it. You are doing it correctly. You deserve to have the feelings that you feel. It is okay.
Okay. And Anati will get up and walk over to her radio setup and flick it on and say, "Hey y'all. Sorry for the late start, but things have been hectic here in Seer's Rest. I know we have a whole pile of letters, and I have a story that I was gonna pick up with when I last left off, but I wanted to tell you guys about a friend of mine. I've heard a lot of stories recently. And Anati will just use her radio show to sort of memorialize Aoife. Just recounting stories, telling her own stories, etc.
Sylvie is gonna stay inside the water tower during the duration of that, but help herself to a Coca-Cola in Anati's refrigerator as that happens. Or is it an RC cola? Like, I have a feeling. I don't know.
There's both.
Yes.
Anati would have both just to accommodate people.
She would prefer the RC cola, actually. Like,
Anati,
God bless.
while you're still in the middle of the show, about to finish perhaps, still telling stories, you see for a split second Reeves, as he sometimes does, crawling in the cables and cords of the radio equipment, trying and get him out of there 15 times. He pretends he gets stuck just because he likes the attention. Jumps up at the desk while you're still talking. Sits on your lap for 5 minutes. And around your legs, there's an attention-seeking aspect to it. You ignore him while you're on air. Pile of letters next to you that were sent. Some of which you've read, some of which you haven't yet. But you know these letters, and you know that there is a new one. As Reeves disappears. Right when you notice that letter.
I'll after the show is wrapped and such, I'll go for the letter and just hold it. Is there a name or anything?
Your name. Just on the envelope. Written in a very shaky hand.
I'll open it.
Do you read it?
Mm-hmm.
My little sunshine. My hands are getting weaker every day, and most of the time, my mind is not my own anymore. But in the moments of remembering you, I feel strength surging through me that only your smile can foster. I don't think you know just how much sun you bring into the lives of everyone around you, how much joy you gift to the world. And often I worry whether you keep any sunshine and joy for yourself. There are days where I wonder if I failed you, if I taught you enough, if I even was the right mentor for you. The Seven surely could have found someone who understood the Age better than me. Surely you could have become more powerful under the guidance of your own. But then I never thought that power mattered all that much. Not without a home. A place to draw strength from and be strong for in return. You do not need your past to be yourself. But if you choose to walk this path, then know that even from beyond I am with you. Go to the Illuminati, but beware of false promises. Tell them Aoife is owed a favor. Do not offer anything else, or they will bind you to your word. Ask your questions. That is all I can do for you now, little sunshine. Never forget that you do not have to be the sun for everyone every day. Never forget that home is where you can let your tears fall like the rain every once in a while. It will not weaken your warmth. Let the coven carry you when you need them to. You were and always will be family. Aoife.
I'd like to spend a charm, if I could. And I want to take the letter and move to the center of the water tower, which would be where the door is. And as a tear drops from Anati's face with the letter in one hand, she presses it to her chest, just closes her eyes. There's a deep inhale, and when she exhales, I want her to bloom every flower in Seer's rest. And then okay. Still work to do, right? You're muted.
Lots of work to do.
Well, we better get to it.
When we're all together again, I have an idea to run by you all, but it's not something that I think a decision I should make on my own.
Yeah.
Sylvie is gonna go and back to the door and open it. Thank you for the cola. You haven't heard from Pino, have you?
No, why? I haven't made my way over there yet.
Nothing. Just curious. And I'm gonna leave. Not before giving you a very, very big hug.
Yes.
Lifting you slightly off the ground.
Anati will heavily squint at that comment and will go. She'll walk over and produce a collar that has tufts of not her hair, and she's gonna do a divination spell real quick.
Holy fuck, that took a turn.
Anati! Like, even Sylvie is gonna, like...
No,
That's
absolutely not. Well, Anati would like to do what equates to not necessarily like I want to see this person, but like a spell that will essentially check them for emotional state, and that will maybe let her like it's you probably can't speak through the spell that I'm imagining, but I am imagining that like Anati will be able to like nudge him, and he will get the hint that like, oh shit, this is definitely a spell she has cast on him specifically before, where it's just like hey, hey, and it's like it's not a full message, but it's Anati speak for like what's up, like what's going on here at the moment. And yeah, I would
Alright.
certainly love to roll something like that.
I think the mother spell for you will reveal what the subject cares about and loves the most, thus identifying how they are vulnerable.
Sounds good.
That is something that could work quite well here. It's a divination spell, so please roll plus wisdom.
Well, I rolled 2 6s, so 13.
Holy fuck!
Yeah.
All right.
What?
You take over the narrative here. I will tell you that he. He is back in town somewhere. You feel the ping, basically, the reaction being much, much closer than you thought. And you feel that Sylvie is on his mind. But you feel you're welcome to turn this into something of your own making. You're welcome to let me know how exactly you sense him and what exactly he feels.
I think that this is like a technicolor sort of spacescape that Anati enters in this, where she loses her form and just becomes like a wave of colors that essentially goes up to the very large, deep orange and reds of that is Pano's form, and she just like pushes him, and she sees like the flicker of the thoughts that are the color of Sylvie. She'll snap out of it and go, huh, I'll make a pair out of those two yet. And she'll pick up the collar and look at herself in the mirror and just pause. And just set the collar back down. She'll sit back down and go, they're adults. I'm gonna dye my hair. And she's gonna dye her hair pink.
Are you telling Sylvie that he's coming back into town? Are you telling her any of what you felt?
No. She's just gonna... They will figure it out.
Alright. Roll me a quick awareness, Sylvie. Just a quick and dirty awareness.
Okay. Plus my wisdoms makes it... What do I have for wisdom? I have a 2 for wisdom. Makes it a 9.
Oh, that's mixed. Anati doesn't seem too worried, so you don't have to worry that he's dead in a ditch somewhere. There's a weird smirk on her face that you cannot for the life of you identify. She put the collar down, and she's off to the bathroom, and you're not entirely sure what just happened.
Bye, T.
Sylvie, take the collar.
That... I'm not into that.
It's not for you, darling.
Like, you see Sylvie, does it have tags on it? What?
No, it's not. It's not a dog collar. It's like it is a very nice piece of BDSM wear, as Anati would have her subs in nothing less than the finest, as usual.
Gotcha. Like, there's just like, yeah, I own one of those. There's just like, you know, she just kind of picks it up with like the tip of her fingers and is like, okay, thanks. I'll see you for a drink later. As she
Mm-hmm.
like leaves and just like, okay.
That happened.
Yeah.
Where are you going, Sylvie?
I think Sylvie is going home. First and foremost, there's it might be a dry heat, but she's starting to feel a little sticky from all the running around, so she'll go home, take a shower, sort of. Yeah.
It's funny how when you're on your way home, the heat has been replaced by a cool, humid breeze, incredibly unusual for this part of the land. And you see that the area around Seer's Rest, and creeping into the streets and creeping into every flower pot and every stretch of land, there's plants, some of which should not be growing here. The sheer abundance of purple and pink heather. And Aoife had told you many stories of the heather-covered hills of her native land. It's very unusual.
Sylvie kind of pauses and she looks out in the fields and seeing the heather, and she smiles and sort of wipes a little tear away, and you know, it's very pleasant for her to see that.
There's a very sweet smell in the air as well. And you return to your studio, or where are we going?
Yeah, she's gonna go back to the house, and this is the house that her and her grandmother shared for like the entirety of Sylvie's life. And Sylvie had already, like, prior to, you know, around nursing home time, Sylvie had already, like, began, like, converting it to her house. Because, again, like, she was telling Anati, like, she began the process of losing her grandmother much sooner than her death. Not, like, you know, by at least I'm assuming she's probably been in the home for about a year, so she's probably been going through that. Just kind of disclaimer, everyone. I actually had a grandparent that had Alzheimer's, and I'm sort of like basing this off of my own parents and how they sort of prepared themselves for my grandfather's passing. But this is essentially what Sylvie has done, and she has like she has taken out. The first thing that she did was she took out the shag carpet. Yeah. She had hardwood installed, because much easier to clean, and we all know Sylvie is about efficiency. And she had already converted the master bedroom to be her bedroom, compared to the other three in the house, which are being currently used as storage. Anything she doesn't use has been closed up.
You mentioned before, and correct me if I'm wrong, that you don't really lock your studio door as much.
Mm-mm. And the studio is detached from the house itself. It's sort of like a it's in her backyard,
Mhm.
almost. She locks up her studio when she goes to bed at night, just because there are, like, she doesn't lock it if she's, like, home or anything like that, but, like, if she's gonna be gone for an extended amount of time, she'll lock it. But we will say, for convenience sake, that it is currently not locked, and so after she has probably freshened herself up from her own stickiness, I will go and check on the contents and make sure her studio is locked and ready to go for the evening.
As you head in,
Mhm.
it's dark inside. It's still light outside, of course, but it's not. Doesn't
Right.
look like anyone's in there. But you notice as you come in on a desk where Anati often leaves a sandwich or lunch when you're too busy or too lost in your work. You notice a fresh dinner plate with food from the bar from the Bad Moon Rising. It's no longer warm,
Mm-hmm.
but just a couple of hours old. And as you look and step closer, you hear, "The girl left it for you."
Who do I hear?
Pino.
Gonna stop and sort of, like, look over my shoulder. I know. That was very rude.
Coming in without knocking.
And leaving. So that is 2 rude things that you have done.
Honestly, for my standards, that's pretty decent.
Understandable. However, and I'm gonna, like, turn to face him. If we are to continue our relationship, you will have to make an effort to reach my standards.
I didn't realize that
Now,
was an
can I-
option.
It is the only option. And I'm gonna hand him his collar.
You've been at Anati's, I see.
Yes.
This is not the right time for this. And you know it.
No, it's not. And so it's not going to happen. I'm also not going to force you to tell me things you are uncomfortable telling me yet. However, I would like an explanation for your rudeness when things aren't so complicated.
How much has Aoife ever told you about me? How I came here? How much do you know? Because I don't think it's much.
It isn't. Grandmother and I had very similar approaches to people's past. They will tell you about their past when they are comfortable with telling you about their past.
And what if what you hear is not something you like to hear? Is not something you can live with?
My grandmother had excellent judgment. And so do I.
I'm sorry for your
Don't
loss.
cast out on us again. Thank you. It is your loss too, and I am sorry. And just as awkwardly as she did everybody else, she will reach over and she will pat him.
And he chuckles because I
In
don't think it's the first
comfort.
time you've done that.
No, like in like comfort, like pat pat. Mm-hmm.
She was a great woman, and I owe her a lot. I wasn't the best person when I came here. Not many of us are. Packs are strict. Very strict. You'd be surprised. There's none of that alpha beta bullshit, but there is a leader. And you follow the leader. Decisions are debated, discussed as a family. Everything's for the pack, for the family. There are roles you have to fulfill. And if you don't do well, you can go look for another pack. Or you can try and try and try and fail and fail and fail. Until you're so lost and so down on yourself, and you become your failures. And then you try and escape, physically or mentally, or both. I've done a lot to get out of my own head. And I cannot begin to describe to you the pure exhilaration that is a werewolf brain on drugs. I'm not gonna lie, I miss it sometimes. When you're all animal. When you don't have to think. Just feel. You take what's yours, and you rip through everyone who stands in your way. You feel powerful. And then you come down, and you've added one more failure to your pile. I never know. Never knew and still don't why Aoife gave me that chance. After I attacked one of her own. Was out of my fucking mind. I didn't even have a reason to. Coven was out. Casting ritual. I smelled the power and I got carried away, I think. They took me down quite easily.
I am not
Coming at me,
surprised.
fucking force of nature, that one. And instead of killing me or leaving me out to die, they took me in. I did not deserve that. I still don't. I contribute nothing. I don't know what I could give to this place that it would want.
Have you...
She's gone now. Go for it.
Have you felt safe here?
No. There's no threat out there. It's all in here. I can't escape that. I mean, I could, but... I drink. That helps. Doesn't fuck me up quite as badly. That's
Well,
my story.
thank you for sharing that with me. It's not have been easy. That's fact. However, Pino, I believe if you are so inclined, you have found your new pack, have you not? You might not be wolves. But what is family if not found? And all I ask of you is that you don't let this place become another failure. And if you think that you are incapable of that, then you should leave. However, my grandmother would have not have kept you here if she believed you to be incapable. And I would not be offering you the chance to stay, and to be loved, and to be cherished, and to be needed if I did not think you was capable. And here is the thing, Pino. I do not fail. And I have excellent judgment. Believe in the me that believes in you.
I'll think about it. There is a struggle within him as he raises his hands and then lowers them, and eventually he very softly grasps you by the arms and shoulders and kisses you on the forehead. Thank you for what it's worth.
You're welcome.
And
For what it is worth.
turns around and walks away with an expression on his face that tells you he's deep in thought.
I need a fucking drink.
There is a bottle of beer next to the sandwich that Leia left.
Yeah, but it's warm at this point. Like...
Oh, also roll me an awareness check real quick.
Yeah. Yeah. An 11.
Wonderful, wonderful. And because we're always role-playing out conversations and go from there, but this game has so many wonderful moves that are conversation-based, I'm, for once, going to let the dice decide on how Pino will take this conversation. This could be either make a stand when you want to make a social or moral conviction. Possibly even, or navigate others. So either a plus wisdom or the befriend with plus mercy. Or of course you can spend a charm to just...
I'll go with make a stand.
Please do.
Yeah, so I will make a stand. Alright, not awful. It would be, once again, a 9.
A 9 is decent mixed success. Yeah, I think you won't see Pino for a couple of days. He is not as easily freed of his specters. And if you do talk to Anati about it, we'll go about that later. You'll learn that, or talk to anyone about it really, you'll learn that, yeah, he's always been a recluse. You know that yourself as well, but
yeah,
he's buying even more booze at the local shop than usual. That's roughly what you can gather. He's having a hard time, and he's staying even more, he's hermiting even more. As for the awareness roll, that was a full success. Where do you keep the werewolf bones?
I have kept them, here's the thing, I would say that after she had reconstructed them to kind of go back on, she would have asked Pino how to properly have disposed of them, and maybe this is what I will use my charm for, is maybe not, like, she would have disposed of them because having them possibly found would have been bad for the sake of but you know what, for the sake of the story, I'm gonna say that she knows how to properly dispose of them because Pino probably would have told her, but she hasn't yet. So as of right now, they are probably kept in a safe that is magically guarded in the studio.
Alright. Then I will just say that you notice a couple of cupboards, drawers. Lots of the old furniture that is getting a little bit wonky, that some of the drawers, if you don't close them just right, they will open up again. You just notice someone... It looks like someone has been trying to look for something or go through your stuff.
There is a seething anger within Sylvie right now. Cause she ain't happy about people going through her things. So I'm looking at my spells real quick.
What is Anati doing meanwhile? While I'll give you some time to check your spells.
Anati, now that she's finally finished futzing about with her hair, is going to just, organize. Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. She's going to do the classic depression cleanup when you finally are coming out of depression and you're like, oh right, I should be a human, and you clean up your room and stuff like that. And then she's gonna go outside.
You two still notice the flowers, the smell in the air that is sweet and clean, with a little hint of rain. Where are you going?
I want to pick a couple flowers and take them to Rolf. And I just want to check in with him, see how he is.
Mm-hmm.
I don't knock because
it is
what are you crazy?
A little bit outside of town, and it's strange how with every step away from the center of Seer's Rest, your spirits lift a little bit. Because sometimes you need to leave to appreciate what you've left behind. Sometimes you need a break. And sometimes taking on everyone's thoughts, problems, sorrows will weigh you down. And you don't really notice it until you step out of treading ground or of the surroundings you're used to. So you start walking to that farmhouse that Rolf stays in. You walk in, and you find him, it's late at night at this point, you find him cooking. He's having his back to you, he doesn't quite realize that you've come in. Does he live alone, or is he with someone in there?
No, he lives alone. And Anati will walk up to him and just wrap her arms around his waist and say, "What you cooking? Good looking?"
Jesus, mother and just... I did not see you coming there. Hey.
You never...
Hey, Natty. Oh, God. Give me the fright of my life. I managed to get a deer the other day and just fried liver, a little bit of onions, some pasta to go with. Want to stay for dinner?
That sounds wonderful. Oh, if you're gonna just force me to, Anati will start setting the table.
I insist. I will cry. I will be incredibly sad if you don't stay for dinner. I will throw myself into the dust before your feet, and I will...
Your Oscars in the mail, give it a break.
And he winks at you. Before we continue this, do you have any specific ideas for Rolf as a character, what he's like? Or are you happy to just go along with a happy-go-lucky kind of guy?
Rolf in general is pretty outside of, both literally and figuratively, is really outside of Seer's Rest. Like, I don't think he would know that. He knows that it's a town full of odd folks, and he's like, well, I hope those odd folks are having a great time in town. And I think that he's just such a slice of normalcy, quote unquote normalcy, that Anati really took a shine to him when she first got here.
I think And this is a funny part here. It's strange when you meet these incredibly self-sufficient, content people. They're often annoyingly religious. And I'm envious, to be perfectly honest. He's not religious, as far as you know, but he is one of those people that just doesn't seem to... He actually seems fine with himself. He seems to be content with himself. He's one of the few people where you're not needing to be a ray of sunshine, where you can just be Anati. And maybe, up to you, maybe that's one of the reasons you're not there that often, because you feel like he doesn't need you. Or because being just Anati is terrifying in its own right.
Exactly right.
It's an incredibly light evening as you set the table and he whistles and he cooks. He tells you various stories that are not about deep dark secrets or sadness, but just, oh yeah, we had to rebuild the fence the other day. A couple of coyotes got in, took some of the cows. You know, the cows you got me the other day. We also had, oh, did you see the flowers? Was that you?
Oh, well, who knows? Could have been anybody, but, you know, it'd have to be somebody really pretty and good at what they do, you know, all those things. So.
It must have been you then. We had some amazing ones come up in the backyard near the little creek. Let me show you. And he runs out, comes back in. Am I allowed to pluck one? Is that cool? Am I offending the gods?
Yeah. No, I think they'll be all right with one.
And runs back out and comes back with a bouquet of wildflowers that is haphazardly put together and colorful in so many ways. There's yellow, there's pink, there's deep red. There's some exotic flowers that have no business growing here at all as well, and he's just gathered a couple and like, this is fucking amazing. This is the best I've seen you do.
You're cute, you know that?
Yeah. Good in bed
so
too.
Humble.
I'm assuming you've already, he wouldn't say that if you haven't already had, but from
absolutely,
your...
absolutely.
Yeah, cool. And he winks at you and gives you the flowers. A flower for my flower.
And I will take the flowers that are tucked into the back of my pocket and say, well, look at that. I have something to trade for you.
I just can't get one up on you. Thank you. He puts them in a vase.
And Anati will just sort of sit down and just like, we'll listen to him go on and on about just benign, just normal things that normal people are worried about. And will at some point cry again, and will relay that someone very close to me passed recently, and I need a break.
He reaches out to just hold your hand mid dessert. Oh fuck, I'm sorry. That sucks.
Yeah. But, you know, life. That's part of life, is that it ends, right?
Yeah, but you can still be angry about it. Or sad. Don't fucking rationalize that away. You wanna punch some things? Got a hay bale?
Yes.
It's real good stuff. The other day I stubbed my toe and I just punched it out in the shed, and just best feeling ever. I've been doing it bit more. I don't know. You may have noticed him bulking up a little. He is
Wait,
not
hold on.
bulking up at all.
I didn't bring my glasses. Let me check.
Oh, hold on.
Ah, yes.
And he just-
Truly
yeah.
massive. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Strongman competition incoming.
And he takes you by the hand and takes you out back where a couple of hay bales are nicely stacked. All right. Starts wrapping your hands in a little cloth. It gets a bit stingy.
And Anati will just go to town on this hay bale. Probably unconsciously using magic to like punch harder and faster, sort of just like not really thinking about it.
I think you pulverize this thing. And Rolf does take a step back and just doesn't say anything, just lets you do whatever you need to do. And there is a destructive power that is at first feeling terrifying to you. You try not to use destructive magic. But there's comfort in it. You hesitate at first. And then you remind yourself that nobody's actually going to suffer. The hay... You can gather it back up, it's fine. And with that, you let loose. You fall to your knees. Oh, yeah, go for it first. If you want to add something to this, go for it.
It's just going to be just a blurry of that for Anati, pretty much whole way down. She won't really overly want to talk about it in explicit terms, so they'll probably just be mostly quiet for the rest of the night, unless there's something else that Rolf plans to inject. But
no, I think when you're done, like what I was going to say is when you fall to your knees, Rolf just wordlessly helps you back up. He's there. He's close. He's trying to help with his presence rather than with words. I have ice cream. He's...
You won't for long.
You haven't been here in a while, so... It's been in the freezer for a bit, but... I got chocolate chip.
And Anati will eat ice cream.
Okay. Is there anything that we want to be doing up until the actual funeral?
I believe Sylvie was looking for a spell last we left her, yes?
Oh yes, of course. I apologize.
I have salami in my mouth, but yes.
Oh, so you did go see Pino.
Ah! 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 Anyway.
I'm funny.
Yeah, well, sometimes. So, for the spell, I think with Sylvie, she would have casted sort of, in her, on her, essentially her shop, and it's probably one of the reasons why she doesn't lock it. But she probably concentrated harder is the Mother Curse spell, in that you ward a location with Fey spirits. The subjects cannot approach without being a victim to their tricks, harm, or fear. So I think essentially what she had done is she had confined that to her safe. And the thing is, it's a safe. And a lot of important things can be kept in a safe. So she's hopefully is not going to be too suspicious that there are bones in that safe, but she'll go to her safe and sort of wave her hand for the fey creature that she has summoned, essentially, to protect that, to appear for her so that she can converse with it. Jeez. You're muted.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
And a bird appears, materializing almost out of thin air.
Mm-hmm.
Shape and size like an owl, but with a colourful plumage and 3 long tail feathers on which you see the moon,
Mm-hmm.
waxing, full, and waning. It looks at you, cocks its head.
Did you hurt it as it was trying to, did it even manage to think about coming, excuse me, towards the safe? Sorry. Got shit
I
caught
was
in my
not
throat.
awoken. I was not awoken.
Sorry, I had to like really get a good hack out of me. And she's gonna nod because it just means that whoever was looking for anything, didn't even like go towards the safe. And the safe is not just like out and about, like it is decently hidden, probably in the floorboards of her home. Like it's a safe, you don't just leave it out. And so what I would also like to do is my divination spell of the Maiden at this point, where I will be pretty much summoning, not this guy, but any other like fey spirits that would be in the vicinity of my house, because you know it's a coven, like there's fey, and I'm probably pretty aware of the fey that hang around my space. I like to summon the fey that hang around in order to converse with them.
Alright, you tell me what you summon.
Ooh. The fey spirit takes the form of a diamondback rattlesnake. Like a large snake. And it sort of manifests on the porch of her, because she would have stepped outside, and it would manifest like sort of out of the dirt of the desert and the sand of the desert, and sort of stand up, because man, rattlers can get about 8 feet long, so, and it'll just like stand up with its tongue flicking out, sort of transparent, in like blue and purple hues.
What is your wish?
Other than the werewolf, have you seen who has gone inside of my house? Inside of my studio?
She is of our making.
Blonde hair?
Yes. I think so. I don't actually remember her hair color.
Yeah, it's like a platinum blonde. Very, very, like, the whole demeanor, I was very inspired by the chick from Lovecraft Country. That kind of look to her. Okay. Sylvie's gonna nod and be, thank you.
Do you wish me to hunt her? Make her my prey? Drag her back into our world where she belongs?
Oh, that's tempting.
Just say the
Not
word.
yet.
Ask for a favor, and it shall be granted.
Not yet.
As you wish. I am waiting. And it starts dissipating. Sand. Dirt. And a few heather buds.
I really need a fucking drink now.
Alright. Then with this, we are going to fast forward a little bit towards the funeral. What did you arrange for Aoife, Sylvie? Is it a grand affair? Is it quiet? Is it subdued? Or is it a proper Irish wake, which basically means everyone gets shit-faced?
I mean, it's definitely a proper Irish wake in the sense that everyone gets shit-faced at some point, but it is small, and it's quiet as far as the actual service goes. In that it's for the town more than anyone from outside, save for the obvious seven members. She would have allowed whoever wanted to give, like Sylvie would have given the eulogy. I did not prepare one, but it is it's definitely a bit more vulnerable. Like, you can tell that Sylvie had prepared this in a state of vulnerability, probably throughout the year, in preparation for this. But it's very quaint for those who can't see into the veil, because I imagine that all of the fey creatures, goodbye cat, sorry, all of the fey creatures from that resided here sort of surround the funeral home on the inside and the out, like little spirits and sprites just sort of mingling between everyone's legs. Some of them looking. It is a closed coffin. We do not open coffins in this house. Sort of skittering sometimes across the wood of the coffin, and around the wreaths and the flowers. It's all very Studio Ghibli like, we'll say, in that manner, until she's brought to the graveyard, in which she is laid 6 feet under. I imagine that I guess there is we'll just say that even Kai is probably the officiant for the funeral.
It is rare to see the sheer amount of face spirits out in the open, visible to everyone. Well, not all of them are, but many are. They behave during most parts. And I'm assuming you've had a stern conversation with them. But as the more somber part eases up, the coffin is lowered, they get a little bit more fey. They start messing with people's hairs, they start tickling, they start stealing little items. The only person they absolutely do not fuck with is someone who arrived in town that morning. Isabelle Mckenzie, the hag of the seven. Even Pablo Martinez gets some tricks played on him every now and then. Some of the Fey spirits seem to recognize him. Isabelle looks around between 60 and 65, perhaps. Her hair is in a nice little updo, very proper. A tartan shawl over her shoulders. Slowly greying hair as well, but still very, very alive eyes. She seems to be watching each and every one of you, of the coven members in particular. Pablo is greeted by especially older members of Seer's Rest. They swap a few stories at first, small talk, but you can tell that he is respected and well liked. Even Pino, who has come for the funeral, staying on the outskirts, nods at him and he nods back. After the sober part is done, people return towards the Bad Moon Rising. Some, not all, of course, but Naneshka and Leia have put up outdoor tables, have made sure that there's food and drink for everyone. And it is a busy day at the bar. Well, busy day and evening. How's Anati doing during the funeral and after? How is she at the wake?
Just being Anati. Just person to person. She's probably the one that handed out the programs. She's just going person to person, checking on people, making sure people have enough Kleenexes, things like that. And before she goes to the bar, she will completely switch her outfit and wear a very not in her usual style bright yellow sundress that Aoife just adored. And she'll go to the bar in that. And Yeah, just shine.
And Sylvie?
She, Sylvie is actually dressed in a tailored suit for the funeral, like a, not quite a pantsuit, but tailored almost masculine-like, mostly because of how tall Sylvie is. As far as like her taking it, she is quiet but observant. After all, being the only living family member other than Madeline, um, at the funeral, people are probably like, my condolences, handing envelopes, like that, that kind of stuff. But regardless, is observant to everyone around her and who comes in and out, because not that she's particularly worried that there's going to be an Illuminati attack while 2 members of the Seven are here with a fully united coven at a funeral. But if there are maybe spies or Madeline.
You do not see Madeline anywhere near, but
Mm-hmm.
you do notice a wreath that Madeline sent with a little whittled figurine.
Mm-hmm.
Similar to the one you found in Aoife's room, but it looks very much like Greaves.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a little card for you, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Just says, "My condolences, Madeline." And a little banner on the wreath. Just saying.
There's going to be a point.
Yeah.
Where Sylvie will separate herself from the group, take that wreath, take that card, take that figurine, and the bones, and she's gonna burn it all. Not together. She's gonna let the wreath and all of that burn first, and then she's going to.
I will say, Anati sees Sylvie leaving. Okay, you don't have to follow her, obviously, but if you want to be part of this scene, you can.
I think Anati will follow, but she won't say anything. She'll just hold Sylvie's hand if Sylvie lets her, and just watch the stuff burn.
When you go to hold her hand, Sylvie will pull out a flask from her jacket pocket and hand it over to you to take a sip first, as y'all watch the fire burn together.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Much needed.
Yeah.
So what do you think what's the over-under on Aoife not being able to stand half the people in the bar right now? Like, how much trouble do you think we'd be in? I said, what's the over-under on Aoife nitpicking every single person in the bar right now? Like, she walked in right now.
Definitely judging everybody's fashion sense.
Definitely judging Cassius in general. That was kind of their thing.
Who doesn't judge Cassius in general?
Exactly. He likes it.
think I'm gonna go judge everyone's fashion choices now.
Well, it's the only way to be.
Yeah. You look fantastic, by the way.
I always do.
True, but
She goes,
I don't always tell you.
This is very bright, but your grandmother, bless her soul, really liked this dress, so.
It's like sunshine.
No, I think that's just me.
There's like a slight roll of Sylvie's eyes. Like, takes another sip of her canteen.
Let's go judge some people.
And I think
we'll make our way
we
back.
are actually going to end it here today.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit shorter than our usual episode just because we are missing 2 members, but I have decided that for what Isabelle and Pablo are going to talk about, which is more with the incident, a little bit of backstory, I think it would only be fair to have Rindis and Alyssa be here for that and be able to ask their own questions. So with the funeral itself done and the wake starting to be in full swing, I think that's where we're going to come back next time. No traumatizing cliffhanger for you. Yay!
You did it. Success.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Pulled it off.
Excuse me, sir. What are you back there? Sorry, my cat is being a cat.
Being Reeve. Yeah. And nobody cried too hard, so it's all good. We did it. I do have letters from Aoife for every single member of the coven, which will be handed over the next 3 episodes, the remaining 3 episodes. So we'll see what Aoife has to say. It's always fun when you have various scenes and that kind of show the character of a person or of an NPC in particular that you haven't super defined as a character. So what everyone is thinking of that person, and it starts to form a whole personality. I love these bits and pieces. So we've had a little bit of a resolve for Anati today, I think. How are you feeling, Dee? Where's Anati at the moment?
I'm feeling great. Anati is getting better. I think that can definitively be said. You know, I can't chalk it up as a total win because she definitely did like sob up a lung earlier, and there was that. But
that's not a bad thing. That is not a bad thing. That's the whole thing with Anati, that she doesn't allow herself this. And why am I? Stop! I'm not your therapist. Go. I want to see her happy.
Also, I decided to have her hair be pink for no reason in particular. No reason whatsoever.
No reason whatsoever. I couldn't see any real life connection there.
Mm-mm.
Yeah,
Dee's hair journeys are always wonderful to watch.
I gotta show you a picture that I found from forever ago when my hair was much shorter and it was the longest it had ever been. Found a picture earlier.
I want to see that now. Yeah, put it in the Discord. And Valdrian, how did Sylvie deal with the situation in your opinion? I think overall,
incredibly well, right? Like exactly as I planned. Like I'm not even being facetious on this. Like this is someone, like I said, I kind of pulled on some real life inspiration for those emotions. But there's an almost the thing that some people may or may not realize, especially after with the thing with Madeline, is there's a seething, slow anger building in Sylvie that when it manifests, it will be rather destructive. So she's doing her best to channel that, and yeah.
Okay, now I want to
She's
see
not
that.
like people. She does not like people going through her stuff.
It's yeah, poor Leia.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Poor
something
Leia,
because
that motherfucker.
listen, she has reasons that are probably very sad and sub story, but also, you know, not good enough. But what the game has, and I really, really like and kind of want to see at some point, and maybe that will. Anyway, the coven spells and rituals. That isn't just the individual crafts of you characters, but something the coven can do as a whole that are pretty big and can be pretty devastating. And there's actually all three of them. I looked at them earlier. Could be potentially used and come into play at some point, depending on what happens in the next 2 episodes. But yeah, I can't wait to see where this is going. What exactly will come out of this situation with the Illuminati? We have, I think, on personal basis, we've made quite the development for the various characters, and also relationship wise, I think you've been doing fantastically well with the NPCs. So now let's see where the big plot takes us, but we'll see that next week. Where can we find you, D? Because you are a busy bee.
Oh my goodness. You can find me in 32 minutes over on the Critical Misses channel for Kingsguard Roll20 Spotlight Show, where I play a Day Zuko. That game is GM'd by the wonderful The Noir Enigma. You can find me on Wednesdays back on Critical Misses, where I will be GMing the finals campaign in our trilogy for Vampire the Masquerade called Under the Pale Cold Sun. On Fridays, you can find me over on Chaotic Creations Twitch channel, aka twitch.tv/chaoticpod, for Hidden Magics, where I play Maltion, the totally normal, emotionally stable wizard. He's a wizard, nothing else. And outside of that, you can find me on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/itstheriddler. You can also find me on Twitter at itstheriddler, Ler. I am available for voice work. My commissions are open, so if you want to hear my voice or my acting skills in any of your projects, let me know. And somebody hit me up about a cyberpunk game. I want to play some punk stuff. And yeah, that's me.
You go do that. That is an order. And Val, what do you have going on at the moment?
Oh, goodness. You know, I'm kind of hoping I'll be able to stream this week. The past 2 weeks have been very, very slow. We've been a little off schedule, but hopefully starting this week we'll be back on schedule. On Wednesdays. Wednesdays are made for Dungeons and Dragons, as we have 2 D&D 5e campaigns. First up is Dragonstone, which is the game that I GM, my homebrew campaign, where the crew is just, you know, wondering if Ragnarok is going to happen or not. Spoilers, it is. And in Revenge of the Gith, you know, we're just fighting, where I get to play a wizard, a little half-drow blade singer, where that group is just dealing with, you know, all of mind flayers and Gith and liches and it's gross, but in a great way. On Thursday evening, you should be able to catch my very cute husband GMing his Expanse game. We're halfway through there, so we should have 5 more episodes left of that. On Friday, we have our finale of our Lancer campaign. And then on Saturday, we have Dragon Age, where you can also find Alyssa here, or Satan, who does play Naneshka. And very soon, so within the next couple of weeks, I should start casting soon for some new projects coming up over the summer. Both are Forged in the Dark projects. I will soon be GMing Morphs in the Dark on my channel. So, if which if none of you know, I am obsessed.
That fucking pecan scene is still in my mind. So hard.
Obsessed with Animorphs, okay? Like,
not a bad thing in my book.
everything
Not a bad thing.
And I've decided I want to do a whole season of Animorphs, of teenagers turning into animals and fighting brain-stealing aliens. And the other Forged in the Dark campaign is a new skin that my friend Jammy is coming up with. And yeah, those are the 2 new projects we are for sure going to be casting for here in the next couple weeks. If you're interested in that, hit me up, because I cast strictly from my Discord first. And if you want to be a part of that and get your name in the hat, you got to find out how to get on my Discord. It's easy. Just say, yo, Valis, and you'll link to your Discord. But yeah,
that's literally all it takes.
Yeah, that's all it takes.
Hey.
Just slide into my DMs or catch me during stream where I share link. So yeah,
and of course
that's
the
me.
links are in this channel here right now as well, and you can also find these lovely faces on our Discord of Weave the Tale. Socials are in there as well. If you're watching on YouTube, hi, thanks for making it this far. Do leave us a comment about your favorite Animorph. This has nothing to do with this game. This is just me being interested in Animorphs too much. But let us know. Rachel! I'm fine. Anyway, so I'm half-assed hermit. Took me a while to remember that part. I'm Lydia,
Distracted you
and
with
I'm
Animorphs,
mostly...
I can't help it.
Yeah, I know, it's your fault. I will blame you wholeheartedly. But I'm usually found here in Weave the Tale or over on Colonomicon, which we're going to raid as well in a second, where they're playing Monster of the Week. I'm not doing too much at the moment outside of that, because it got just entirely too much in 2020 and I need a break. And so do all of you, I'm pretty sure. Be nice to yourselves. But on Friday, we're going to have the GM post-mortem on Colin's channel with Will Munn. We always invite GMs and game developers, and Will Munn has created a beautiful, beautiful system that's called Arium that was just shipped out after a successful Kickstarter, and it's a game system about basically any form of setting you want it to be. It has the world building, communal world building, built in the game. We did that on Weave, well, when it was still Encounter a while ago, and it was fucking hilarious. There were a lot of pigs. It was weird, but it is so much fun, and I'm always super hyped for including your players in world building, because it just creates investment when they have made things, NPCs, when they have made settings, setting relevant things. They want to see that in the game, and they will seek it out, and I will say do that. So we're going to talk about that on Friday at 7 p.m. EST over on Colonomicon. Other than that, I finished Fate of Cthulhu Saturday, so that was fun. That's on YouTube now. But yeah, just hit me up on Discord if there's anything else you have on your mind. Thanks once more to our sponsors for helping us out this season. Thanks to all of you for being with us throughout this run. We have 3 more episodes after this, and of course we're gonna go and cry a little bit and then laugh a little bit about all the horny and all the serious, which is what these fuckers are so very good at. So see you soon. Thank you very much for watching, and until next week with a full coven this time.
These are the tales we weave. Tales of magic. Tales of mystery. Tales exploring the beyond. And while we continue to grow, even more adventures await. In the depths of the unknown. Will you join us in the telling?